Hey everybody, this is Izzy here coming to you with the Avengers Endgame spoiler review talk. I am very curious to see what everybody else thought about this film and about certain moments that transpired. Um, Anyone who accidentally clicked on the video, I'm going to give you a little bit of time to exit out of it. That way you won't have to hear anything that will spoil it for you and possibly take you out of enjoying it, because that's not something I want to do, and I don't want to be that guy that mistakenly spoil something for somebody and then they get upset about it. So exit out of it, or I'm just going to give you a little bit of time to walk away or just do whatever you want to do. Again, fair warnings, spoilers. This film starts off very, very ominously. And as everybody knows, this is not a huge spoiler. Thanos managed to snap half of life from existence during Infinity War. And this is civilization and the Avengers picking up the pieces from the actions of Thanos's chaos, if you will. What a lot of post-apocalyptic films, I felt, don't necessarily explore is the fallout. You think about if something like this really did occur in real life, there will be consequences. I mean, you have the government who would essentially be in pieces. The medical field would basically almost be non-existent. You think about all the doctors, dentists, and pilots, and military personnel, and families that have been erased. I mean, everything that we have feared as far as apocalyptic crises occurring is explored in this film. I mean, it really is. And we see it at the very beginning with Hawkeye losing his family, which is a true punch to the gut. Not something that, I mean, I kind of had a feeling that was about to happen, but I didn't think it was going to happen with his family. I thought it was going to be something that they all witnessed together as a family, and it was them trying to deal with it. Him dealing with it alone was a huge surprise to me. Hawkeye was one of the coolest parts of the film, especially when he was in his Ronin mode. Ronin mode made me think about how Batman should be portrayed in a film. That was cool, with seeing him in Japan hunting down the Yakuza. That was amazing. Probably one of the coolest parts of the Marvel Cinematic Universe film. You'll know what I'm talking about when you watch it. Very cool. Nebula and Tony Stark interacting with one another in space. You have Tony attempting to survive. Was one of the most emotional and rawest performances by Robert Downey Jr. You just saw it in his face. Great makeup. He just looked absolutely weathered, broken, hopeless, afraid, and sending that last message to Pepper, believing that that was going to be his last moment before he was saved by Captain Marvel, which is a beautiful scene. And having him reunite with Steve Rogers on Earth, and him venting his anger, his bitterness, his resentment towards him, stemming from their fight in Civil War. And that's another cool thing, how the Russo brothers have managed to bring in numerous other plot points that it could essentially have made a huge mess with the film that's already this big. They took every element from every Marvel Cinematic Universe that you could possibly imagine or remember, and have managed to tie it in seamlessly, symmetrically, perfectly. You just don't. A lot of directors and writers had managed, whenever there's anything that features an ensemble cast, it's hard for everybody else to get their moment to shine, and for them to actually manage to find a way to balance all these characters and all these different storylines is amazing. Josh Whedon became a broken man after Age of Ultron. I shudder to think what would have happened if he attempted to tackle this story of this magnitude. I'm afraid he probably would have Thanos himself out of existence. But the Russo brothers managed to do it. I don't know how they did it, but they managed to do it. And another cool scene was them using the Pym particles and quantum realm technology that was perfected by Tony Stark in the film. And they're going to all these different time periods. And you see them going to the Battle of New York, going to Morag, going to Vormir, going to the 1970s with Steve Rogers and Tony Stark, meeting his father in the 1970s. They actually come into a better understanding of what Howard Stark was as a man, and coming to peace with himself and his father. Thought that was a very beautiful scene. What else is there to talk about? There was one complaint that I read that a lot of people did. Well, one person in particular I don't want to say their name, but they didn't particularly care for how Bruce Banner was essentially in Professor Hulk mode, which is very faithful to the comics, mind you. It's not anything that's new or out of the realm of the possibility as far as the character was concerned. Me, I was always the type of individual and fan who preferred Edward Norton's performance as Bruce Banner, because when I think of Bruce Banner, I think of not only Edward Norton, but I think of Bill Bixby from the Incredible Hulk TV show. I think about the Incredible Hulk cartoon that I used to watch as a kid, and Edward Norton just envisioned, just to me, whenever I read the comic books, he just looked exactly how I imagined Bruce Banner would look and portray and behave. Not that I have anything against Mark Ruffalo. I think he's a fantastic actor, and I don't have any issue with him as Bruce Banner and the Hulk, but I can kind of see why a lot of people didn't like his depiction in this film, but hey, it's still faithful to the comic book, so I can't be mad at that. What else? What else can I really get into? Because I mean, for a 3-hour movie, there's a lot of ground to cover. I thought it was really the depths that surprised me was obviously Black Widow. I did not think that was going to happen, considering I thought that they were eventually going to find a way to make not only Captain Marvel as the face of the Marvel Cinematic, as a new face of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but they were going to find a way to add Black Widow into the equation. Her dying in Vormir in order for Hawkeye to receive the Soul Stone was a huge surprise to me and a very emotional moment. This film, this Marvel Cinematic Universe film, is quite possibly the darkest one that I've ever watched. There's humor, but it's more of a cathartic humor, and it's more attempted to find a way to provide levity and necessary levity for anything that involves the end of humanity, or more or less the end of the world, if you will. I will say the last 20 minutes of the film was literally a comic book coming to life. We sat there as kids, reading these comic books and seeing all these beautiful and colorful images right there before our eyes, and thinking how cool it would be to see these, to be able to watch this in a live action format, and yet thinking, man, there's no way they're gonna be able to do this. It's impossible. And for the Russo brothers to actually do it is just mind-boggling. The words cannot describe how emotional that moment for me was when I see Captain America wield Mjolnir, Thor's hammer, and use it against Thanos. That was a huge uproar of excitement in that auditorium when it happened. That everyone in one accord just yelled in unison. It was cheering and rooting and raving and just really wanted to be completely escaping whatever was on their mind, something that may have been bothering them, whether it was work or whether it was outside of work. They completely forgot about what was bothering them, because that scene, I got goosebumps. I still get goosebumps thinking and talking about it. Then when you hear Sam's voice over the comm, and at the time I was like, at the time I thought I was hearing something. I thought I was hearing things. I didn't expect it. And everybody else was like, what in the world? Where'd that come from? And then when you see Black Panther, Shuri, and Okoye coming out with Doctor Strange with the other Sorcerer Supremes showing up, then you have Iron Man, then you have the Guardians of the Galaxy, and then Valkyrie, Wasp, Ant-Man rising from the rubble. And when Captain America says that line, yells out the line, Avengers assemble, with the Avengers theme playing in the background, and all of a sudden Thanos and his army with the Avengers rushing toward each other, reminded me of Return to King, Lord of the Rings, which is an amazing film, obviously. But that scene is the only scene that can be compared, that deserves to be compared to The Lord of the Rings. I remember when X-Men The Last Stand came out, and they were trying to compare their last battle sequence to Return to King and The Two Towers. Insult to Lord of the Rings, but this is up to par with that movie, with that film. Like I said, I'm not ashamed to admit it. I cried. I absolutely cried. I don't know what else to say, man. I just feel like I'm completely speechless, and I will be watching it again. I know there are scenes that I missed. I know that I will definitely. It would be a film that's added to my Marvel Cinematic Universe collection, just like every other film that I have back there. But I'm very curious to see what everybody else thought about it. I really am. I'd love to discuss it because when I'm at work, there are other people there are other coworkers and managers who haven't watched it yet. So I'm trying to find a way to discuss it without spoiling anything for anybody else. So anyone who hasn't watched this film, don't watch this video. Anybody else who has watched this that I know personally or that I don't know personally, because this will be made public, you feel free to comment on my YouTube, and I'll comment on my Facebook page. That's public as well. And just let me know what you thought. And I'm very curious about it. Tony Stark dying was a huge surprise for me. I did not expect that. I thought they were going to put him more into the confines of becoming the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., just like he was in the comics. And I thought that would be something that Robert Downey Jr. would be more enticed to do, because he doesn't have to necessarily do Iron Man stuff. He could just show up for an easy paycheck in his suit and be done with it. But either way, that provided the darkest emotional punch for me. That was a rough scene to watch. Huge rough scene to watch. And then you have Captain America, who returned all the Infinity Stones and remained and went back to Peggy, but an alternate timeline of version of himself, passed the shield on to Sam Falcon, which I thought they were going to do more of the Winter Soldier become Captain America, but I could live with Sam becoming Captain America. That's pretty cool. I'm okay with that. Again, that happens in the comics too, so I can't be mad at that. But it tied everything up nicely. I mean, there's really nowhere else to go after that. This is the end of the Infinity Saga, and it's a perfect ending. I mean, it really truly is a culmination of everything that we have been waiting for the last 11 years. So, again, you don't have to watch. This is a spoiler, but at the same time, not a spoiler. You don't have to wait for the end credits scene, because there's nothing at the end. You don't have to wait. So, that's it. Let me know what you think, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you, my friends. Take care, be safe, watch it again, invite your friends, invite your family, and have a great time. Talk to you later.